Probably really pay attention to the first 20 minutes, you know, and all of a sudden, oh, that was an interesting
My name is Bill Rinko. I'm the moderator of this event, and the organizer is the OceanPinesForum.com, Joe Reynolds. This forum is for the Republican candidates for County Commissioner from District 5 and District 6. District 5 is candidate Judy Boggs and candidate Bob Thompson. And District 6 is candidate Linda Busick and candidate Madison Jim Bunting. Here's how we're organized tonight. In the first phase, there'll be an opening question by me addressed to each candidate, and each candidate will have 2 minutes to respond with no rebuttals. By draw, we have decided who's the turns we'll go with, and we start with Jim Bunting, and we'll go down that way and just that way from there on out until we have the candidates who will be asking their opponents a question later. When I get through, then there'll be questions from the press. The press here tonight, who are questioners, are from the Ocean Pines Independent editor and the Worcester County Times editor, Mr. James Fisher. Ocean City Today associate editor, Nancy Powell. And their questions will be addressed. First question will be to Mrs. Busick. And that'll be a question from Nancy Powell, who has won the toss. And each, or Linda, you'll be allowed to ask or to respond for 2 minutes, and then each other candidate will have 1 minute to give a rebuttal or a comment, and then you'll have 30 seconds to clarify if you so desire. Then there'll be questions by the candidates. Mrs. Boggs and Mr. Thompson will ask a question of each other, and Mr. Bunting and Mrs. Busick will ask a question of each other. And we'll get to that clearer later. We also have an opportunity at my discretion for extended discussion in case an answer needs further clarification or we want to get some more of that. At my discretion, I can ask an extended question when the candidate may respond for 30 seconds. And then there'll be closing statements. Each candidate may take up to 3 minutes for a closing statement. Are we ready to go? Ready. All right, the timer is Jack Barnes, who will notify candidates 30 seconds before their time is up by using a yellow card. And then he will notify them when their time is up using a red card. And we have a timer which sounds like this.
Oh.
All right, so we're ready to go.
That was a doorbell.
So here's the first question. And again, each candidate will have 2 minutes to respond. And here it is. In light of the fact that all of District 5 lies in Ocean Pines and much of District 6 is in Ocean Pines, your election has the potential to mean much to the Ocean Pines membership. Why do you feel that you would be the best qualified to serve the interests of your Ocean Pines constituents?
Hi, my name is Jim Bunting. I don't like microphones. Can you hear me with that? No. Okay, I'm sorry. Okay, first of all, I'll give you a little bit of my background. I own and operate a surveying and land planning business, which is located in Ocean Pines, and for 18 years. I've had the experience of being on the Worcester County Board of Zoning Appeals for 6 years, serving as the chairman for 4 years. I'm the current chairman of the Worcester County Planning Commission, and I'm a 4-year member, 3 years as chairman. I'm also a member of the Ocean Pines Comprehensive Planning Committee. I think with this experience, first of all, I owe a lot to Ocean Pines. I've made a living in Ocean Pines over the years. I started surveying when I was in Ocean Pines when I was 16 years old and worked summers and weekends. I've been around a long time, but I believe that by being a registered land surveyor, licensed in Maryland and Delaware, and serving all these various boards, I've accumulated 18 years of experience working for the county, working for the people in the county, and it makes me feel like I'm very qualified to represent Ocean Pines, especially with having an office in Ocean Pines and also own property in Ocean Pines. I guess that's about it.
I'm running. You gotta turn it on. I have been a resident of Ocean Pines for several years. I currently live in River Run, which is simply across the roadway. I have been your county commissioner for the last 4 years. I feel very comfortable doing the duties of a county commissioner. I am running for re-election because I have dedicated my life to public service. For 20 years, I was a Baltimore County police officer. And the motto of the police department was to serve and protect. And I am serving the people of Worcester County and the people of the Northern District, and I'm protecting our natural environment and our way of life. And I love being your county commissioner. I'm going to keep on being your county commissioner. I have continued to be fiscally responsible and to assure a balanced budget while keeping taxes low. I have continued to support our nationally acclaimed Blue Ribbon schools. I have continued to grow jobs and support continued economic development. I have been fiscally responsible by providing necessary services to the people of Worcester County through sound economic policies and creative management of all resources while holding the line on taxes for the last 4 years. I have been involved in the support of major capital improvements, budgeting for our nationally acclaimed Blue Ribbon schools, the construction of Worcester County's Technical High School, Pocomoke High School addition, plans for Snow Hill High School expansion and renovation, and the upgrades to the Shao Elementary School wastewater treatment plant, and replacement of 3 portable classrooms at Shao. With regard to conservation issues relating to water quality and adherence to our comprehensive plan, I have gone door to door and told my constituents of grant funding, and my time is up. But I could go on and on. I love what I do.
Thank you. Mrs. Boggs.
You know, public service becomes a lifestyle. When I was living in Dundalk and Baltimore County, in addition to my professional life, I retired as a county health administrator, not a county health administrator, but a health administrator. I had a parallel career as a volunteer, a community activist in the schools, with the police department, with the community, Greater Dundalk Community Council. So when my husband and I retired and moved here to Ocean Pines about 22 years ago now, I brought that desire to Ocean Pines, my adopted community. I started by forming a Worcester County Commission for Women here. I got involved in many other community activities. I was elected to the board of directors. And then when there was an opportunity, when the commissioner number was changed from 5 to 7, and Worcester County had an opportunity to have Ocean Pines' own county commissioner, I ran and was elected to that. I've been your county commissioner for 8 years. I think that I've done a good job. I've made promises, and I will keep those promises. And you'll see more of the same, more good communication from Judy Boggs to keep you advised of all of the issues concerned with the county and the impacts of the county decisions and goals and ideas. The impact on Ocean Pines. Thank you.
Mr. Thompson.
Thanks. I'm going to stand so I can see everybody, so thanks for coming out tonight. We dodged a bullet with the hurricane, so I'm real pleased to see so many people here, so thanks for being here. Some of the qualifications that I bring, we're going to start with growing up here in Worcester County. For those that don't know me, I grew up right in West Ocean City. I think, with my experiences here, and by the way, I'm 44, so everybody can figure out how long I've been here. The only time away was my military service. Okay, so growing up here in the county, understanding the growth, I was talking to a gentleman earlier. Can you guys hear me? I'm sorry about the echo. Talking about the growth in the county and some of the changes, I believe that my understanding of growth, along with my 20 years in banking, understanding the development and how it impacts communities, and recently, as I've been in Ocean Pines for over 20 years, I've served on various committees. Okay, one of the most I'm most proud of is my commitment to Rec and Parks Committee, which if anybody's been over here to the Real Large Playground down here at the South End, I can tell you between Barbara Kissel and I co-chairing that, if that's not commitment to our community, I don't know what is. And I will also tell you, we did a community build from a standpoint, turn the screws to actually put the slides together. And 2 big slides, I was the first down each because I don't want a kid to come down hard and get hurt. So I've been here, I'm committed. Some other things with the community that you may not know, I also serve on Lane General Hospital's corporate board. I've been doing that for over a year now. I've been a board of director, for those that don't know, here in Ocean Pines, and I'm now serving as your general manager, which I think uniquely positions me to understand the exact needs here in our community and be able to represent those at the county level, unlike we've ever had before. So thanks for your time.
Thank you, candidates. All right, now we're going to move into phase 2 with questions from the press. And again, this is going to be a question from the press that's asked. We'll start with you, Mrs. Busick, and you'll have 2 minutes to respond. And then each candidate, starting with Mrs. Boggs and on down, will have 1 minute to clarify, rebut, or whatever, and then Mrs. Busick will have 30 seconds to further make a comment. The first question will be asked by Nancy Powell from the OC Today.
Hi. Where does coastal development rank in your list of issues, and how does it coincide with your views about the environment and economic development?
It is very important for us to keep our waters clean. If you're speaking about our coastal bays, is that the focus of this question?
No, not necessarily.
No.
Coastal development.
Oh, coastal development. All right. With regard to development in our area, as you know, we are in an economic downturn. And currently, there are a great number of homes that are in foreclosure. There are many homes that are available in the short sale market. I don't see a resurgence of the heyday of the building that we once had. I, of course, want to see economic development come to Worcester County. And we have many things that need to take place to acquire more economic development, and that would be that last mile provider for broadband and extended infrastructure. And there are many things that need to take place before we see considerable development on the coast. Thank you.
Thank you. Mrs. Boggs, 1 minute.
With the new coastal bays legislation, if Ocean Pines weren't developed, we wouldn't even be here today. So a lot has changed regarding the coastal bays and where developments can go. But frankly, economic development in Worcester County is moving forward. We don't necessarily have to worry about development around the bays because a lot is going on. Earlier this year, the county commissioners approved moving forward with a feasibility study and a master plan to develop 34 acres in Pocomoke into a private biopharmacology science and technology campus. And our thought was to capture the potential economic growth in the lower shore of Wallops Island newly funded mission. Last year, the commissioner signed a contract with the business department of Salisbury University to provide free consultation services for any small business person or entrepreneur. So I will continue to work on economic development, and just rest assured, a lot is happening. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Vaughn. Mr. Thompson?
I stand just because I think I should be here where everyone can see me. I want to make sure I can look out to you. So coastal development is important to us, but we have to use good judgment. We live in a pretty pristine area. As I stated before, growing up down here, you talk about development, Oyster Harbor is where I used to run around as a kid in Old Man Parker's Field. So if anyone's seen development here, I certainly have. We can't stop growth and development. I know a lot of times when folks move down and think, okay, that's it, we're going to close our gates, and now I'm here and we're not growing. Growth comes. At the annual meeting, a lady had moved down from D.C. and she was very adamant about this is turning into Washington, D.C. I don't think it is, but I will tell you, growth is coming. What we need to do is manage it effectively, make good, sound decisions on the type of growth that we'd like to see here. Certainly at the borders, at the north and south border of Ocean Pines, and certainly as it impacts the coastal bays.
As far as coastal development, we just adopted a new comprehensive zoning and subdivision control article. We have critical areas legislation, commercial guidelines, new zoning maps, and I don't see a whole lot happening in coastal development. What's developed is here, and I think you won't see a whole lot more. I'm more concerned about economic development. And I'm looking, the southern end of the county has done a good job, but the northern end of the county is lacking pitifully. I'm hoping to work on the tract in Shell, which will not impact the residents of Ocean Pines, and we could bring more economic development in the northern end of the county, which would create more jobs and sell some of this inventory of homes we have on hand right now, and then we could be building a few more new homes and create more business.
Thank you. The next question.
Oh, I got a little time for the public.
30 seconds.
All right.
30 seconds, I'm sorry.
As has been mentioned, we have a comprehensive plan. The comprehensive rezoning should mirror that comprehensive plan. It's a good plan. And comprehensive plans are good for 10 years. So just because we've just finished the rezoning maps doesn't mean, the maps and the plan doesn't mean that we have to start over again. And so keeping our environment pristine, protecting our waterways, that's what brings people here, and that will drive our tourism and the rest of our economy.
Thank you. All right, the next question will be from James Fisher from the Ocean Pines Independent, and he will address that question to Mrs. Boggs.
The new Maryland fire safety standard calls for automatic fire sprinklers in new single-family homes starting next year. Counties can opt out of this requirement, but our fire marshal is urging commissioners not to do that. Still, some builders and residents say that the cost of installing these is quite high, and the risk of accidental flooding that comes with them is quite great. Should Worcester opt out of these regulations, or should we accept them?
This is not a simple yes or no question because it's very complex. I'm in a position to know what other counties have done, and some of them don't have the special problems we have with water. Not everybody is hooked up to public water. So those that have wells are not going to have the same water pressure, those with public water. The other issue is public safety. You know, how much is a life worth? Well, we will be having many people talk with us. I expect to get a lot of emails. I expect to get a lot of telephone calls. And I listen to everyone. I talk to everyone. And we will also have a public hearing. So we will hear the responses from the developers, how they feel about it. We will also hear response from real estate people who will chime in also, and we will hear from the public safety people, the police and the fire. I'll listen to all of these and make the best answer possible based on all of the responses and all of the information that we receive. Thank you.
I can speak directly to this. Military, I was a fire chief, and I do have a lot of years of experience in it. I can tell you I don't support the sprinkler systems, and here's why. The sprinkler systems, okay, let's talk the economic side first. We're already in a tough economic condition. We have more and more homes that are popping up on the market that are for sale. Through bankruptcy and foreclosure and those type of things. In addition to that, okay, we create a burden, an undue burden on the next home buyer. Maryland has one of the highest closing cost rates in the entire country, and now we're going to burden that, okay, with another 1.5% versus of cost to put the sprinkler system in. Now, before you say, well, Bob, you're all about economics. No. The truth of the matter is what we need to do is make sure we're enforcing smoke detectors. That's what saves lives. The sprinklers really protect the property. Okay, well, let me tell you, fire damage is a combination of smoke and water damage. They're the two primaries.
This is a very simple one. I would not support sprinkler systems for single-family homes. In our economic times we have now, the cost of an affordable home cannot stand the cost of having a sprinkler system.
As I understand it, the sprinkler system requirement is for new family homes. And at a recent public hearing, information came from the community, both pro and con. Our fire marshal was insistent that this was a safety need and was very supportive of it. Other people in the building community expressed that there would be problems with the affordability, and because Worcester County is rural in nature, and because we have so many homes on a septic, we have the option of requesting an amendment so that these things can be taken into consideration. It would be a tremendous hardship for people on well and septic to have these installed in their homes, and I do want to hear all the sides and garner all information possible, but at this point, I'm of the opinion that we need an amendment to allow us to not adhere to this.
30 seconds.
Yes.
Thank you. The county commissioners have discussed this issue preliminarily, and I can tell you, I've been a county commissioner for 8 years, and I never make decisions until all of the information is in. Even though these issues have been brought up, there are always more. So I just hate to see anyone make a decision before all of the information is in. I don't.
All right, the next question will come from OC today, Nancy Powell.
You're asking Mr. Thompson.
Other than the poor economy and the need for economic development in Worcester County, what is the county's most pressing issue, and what would you do about it?
Pressing issue above the economic conditions?
Other than.
Oh, that's sort of the pressing one. In my financial background, since that's the critical. Well, let's talk. There are probably a number of things. One is, I believe, one of our most precious assets here in the county is our school system. Okay, supporting that school system. I think that's very, very important. A lot of times we talk about, well, the budget's too high, we're going to cut from the school system. The school system's our investment in our future. It protects our property values, because one of the first things people ask when they're looking to move to the area is, how's your school system? Okay, if you don't believe it, you can ask any realtor, they're going to tell you that. Okay, the other, from that standpoint, protecting the school system, we have teachers, we have the most certified teachers of just about any school, certainly of any in Maryland, and our school system was named as one of the top in the country. Okay, so we've got an award-winning school system. That's precious, and we need to support it, and it also supports all your property values. Okay? The other thing is protecting, from a development standpoint, and this is part economic, but it's also part growth, controlling the growth, the type of growth we have. Okay, I look at the Pines Plaza across the way. It's deteriorating each and every day. There is a little bug. I promise I'm not losing my mind. I was wondering if I could see it, but what are we going to do to help support that? The growth is supposed to have to deteriorate, because if that continues to deteriorate, that impacts our property values. So if you think about it, what's important, the special things, we're all here because of the ocean and living on the bay and the waterways. Okay, it's a wonderful place to live and raise your family. I mean, my wife and I, have chosen to stay here. So for me, they're probably the most important. Thanks for the question.
I'm sure we all agree that maintaining and improving the quality of our coastal bays and rivers and creeks is very important. Educational system, maintaining that and improving that is a very important issue. As Bob said, economic development is a key one to me. For a specific thing in Ocean, if we're talking about Ocean Pines, I've heard from a lot of doors I knocked on that the drainage problems in Section 2 and 3 have been neglected, and that is one thing I would like to work on. And a lot of people are relaying to me their concerns about medical facilities. I think we need to work on our medical facilities too in the area.
As you all know, those folks that live in District 6, that I do a door-to-door campaign. And so I have talked to literally hundreds of constituents since this election process has begun. And what I see when I go door to door is I see that plumber, that electrician, that drywall person, that painter, and they're sitting at home in the middle of the afternoon. And it makes my heart break, because I know these people are struggling in some cases to support their families. So jobs and the creation of jobs is very important. And bringing in new economic development opportunities to the county is important. But we realize because of these tough economic times that we're kind of in a holding pattern. So to those folks that are involved in the in the construction trade, they're going to perhaps have to seek home improvement jobs, utilize this opportunity to seek additional education to help them, maybe even create another opportunity for employment. And I would guess the same.
When asked about priorities, particularly for Ocean Pines, two things automatically came into my mind. First is budget. We know these have been lean years. Next year is also going to be a lean year, and balancing that budget is going to be very difficult. And of course, that trickles down to Ocean Pines, because when the state cuts 90% of the county's highway user revenues, that hurts Ocean Pines, because by contract, Ocean Pines gets 11% of the money that the county gets. And the other thing, very quickly, that would be my second priority, would be slots and the impact of slots on Route 589 and on Ocean Pines.
Mr. Thompson, you have 30 seconds.
I think I answered your question.
Yes.
I don't want to hold everybody up unduly just to talk.
Yes, you did, thank you.
Thank you. Next question will be from Mr. Fisher from Worcester Pines Independent. Ed.
In March, the Worcester County Commissioners voted to grant $40,000 to the Delmarva Discovery Center so that it wouldn't be forced to lay off staff and close for lack of funds. It was less than a year after the center's grand opening. If the museum sought more emergency funding in 2011, would you vote to grant it or not?
I'd have to review the budget and see if the money was there to grant it. I would hopefully be able to maintain what we have at the Discovery Center and keep it active. But if it would be a budget issue, we'd have to go over the budget. And unfortunately, I've never participated in doing the budget at Worcester County, and I'm looking forward to it.
as we've already discussed, tough economic times, doesn't look like we're going to have any increases in revenue. Probably have continued decline in revenue. We did give grant funding to the Discovery Center, and it's a wonderful place to take friends and family. And if you want a brochure with 10% off, I can give you one after this conference. We support our museums, and we certainly like our cultural activities to flourish. However, we've given sufficient funds. The commissioners have agreed that in this last budget, no more funding will be provided. They're going to have to make it, and they're going to have to decide the proper amount of hours and seek volunteers perhaps to work and make it work. So no more funding until we see the light at the end of the tunnel. Thank you.
The Discovery Center is something to be really proud of, and I hope you do all visit it. They ran into some problems last year, and the county commissioners managed to scrape up some emergency funds, but we made it very clear to them they're going to have to deal with operating the Discovery Center, whether with volunteers or adjusting their hours or prices or in some way. That's their responsibility. That the county is not going to fund the Discovery Center.
Unique question. I'd love to say one way or the other. This is one that I'm not going to give a lot of clarity to from saying I would or wouldn't. The primary reason why is I think we need to do everything possible to protect, our cultural way of life and sharing that with others. With that being said, we are in some tough economic times. I mean, the thing that I look at is, have we right-sized government? Maybe if we right-sized government here locally, we would find some of those additional funds that might be able to at least support or at least find a way to help them support themselves.
If I am elected as a county commissioner, economic development will be my key goal. And with economic development, we will be able to fund the Discovery Center and other good things that we have going on in Worcester County, and do it without raising taxes. And that's one of the things I'm pledging to the voters, that I will not raise taxes.
All right, the next question will be from Nancy Powell from the OC Today and directed to Mr. Peasley.
And now for something different. If you could read just one book for the rest of your life, what would it be and why?
Oh, that's a real toughie. I think that I would probably read the Bible. Now, this is a book that we all have in our homes, and from time to time, there are various passages that I look to for strength, and I could certainly use more familiarization with the Bible. It certainly brings up ethics, morals, values, and it's probably one of the raciest books you can read. So that could keep me busy for a long time. Thank you very much.
I'm a voracious reader. I always have a book going. I could not choose among them. I could not choose at all. Lots of people say, I bet you read a lot of political books. And I said, no, it's more murder and mayhem, which is, But in any case, I read detectives, I read biographies, I read lots of nonfiction books. The list goes on and on. I couldn't choose. I just keep reading.
My wife will tell you I'm not as religious as I always could be, but to your point, it would probably be the Bible. And I'm not just saying it to say, I mean, some of my recent decisions, for business strategies and some things I've done recently, came right out of a church service that Father Protak had shared, and it kind of hit me at the right, sometimes right place, right time, and the message hits you. And I did, and I think if I only had one book to read, it would be that one. I just hope it's big enough print so as my eyes continue to wane, I can continue to read it.
The Bible is a great answer, and with recent deaths of people that I know, and it makes you want to go back to the Bible and refresh yourself with it. That's a good pat answer, but I like to read too, and I guess the best book I read recently and I really liked was, it's been out since 1995, and it's by Colin Powell. And the man had some great ideas and great morals, and he's a great person to kind of follow.
No rebuttal. No, you're safe. Okay.
Mr. Fisher, your question should be directed to Mrs. Boggs.
Since last October, local governments in Maryland have been allowed, if they choose, to install unmanned cameras that generate mailed tickets to people caught speeding. They can do this around schools, I believe. To my knowledge, no government in Worcester County has done so, has taken advantage of this. Does the idea have any merit? And if it were proposed, would you support it?
I'm on the board of the Maryland Association of Counties. And yes, this has been discussed and it has been used by a number of different subdivisions. Worcester County has not discussed it yet. I'm hearing complaints from other subdivisions from the people who live in other counties saying it's just a money-making deal. You know, the counties need money and they're going to catch everybody who's going a few miles over the speed limit. I'd have to think long and hard before I installed speed cameras. I'd have to, hear a lot of testimony, pro and con on that. First thought is that I don't think it's needed in this county. If the police came to us and said, we really need it, we have some issues and some problem areas, sure, that hasn't happened here.
Good question. Haven't thought that one through, but I will tell you this. I'm not the big brother with the cameras. It's not something I typically support, but you bring up an issue around the schools, and I drop my kids off at school daily, and it just, as everyone knows, they just got back to school. I got to tell you, camera, a blockade, something to slow some of those kids down right now would be good. So, I'm kind of mixed. I like Ms. Boggs here, would have to hear more information to give a clear answer. But if anyone knows a way to slow the kids down, even a fake camera right now, please do, because my kids are driving now.
A question I hadn't thought about a lot either. From what I've read about it, the system has flaws in it, and there's a lot of people getting tickets through the mail that they weren't even in the vicinity. Just looking at it really quickly, I don't think that Worcester County needs it.
Well, I hate to admit to you, I'm one of those drivers that got a ticket from the camera that caught me going through a yellow light that turned red going from here to Annapolis on Route 404. I wanted to get one of those bumper stickers that says student driver, because any of you that know me knows that my husband used to take me everywhere, and I got a little bit of a lead foot. I can tell you one thing, I'm not going to go through any partially yellow to red lights anymore, because it's a very costly fun. Would it slow people down? You bet, because they're expensive. But do I want to see it here? No. I want to see those little signs that say you're going 35 miles an hour in a 20-mile zone and give you a little leeway, because I bet each and every one of you has speeded at one time or another. What do you think? All right.
And you can't get out of those tickets.
All right, then we'll start with Nancy Powell, and a question for Mr. Thompson.
What is the smallest acceptable class size for county schools? And what is the largest accepted class size for county schools? apparently some of our classes really small and others are quite large.
Smallest acceptable size. You know what, this is a question that here's how I would answer that, okay? I don't have enough information to say accurately what I would do, but to give you the right answer, I would talk to Dr. Andes, I would talk to the school board, and ask them, what's the price tag we put on our educational system? You know, how important are our children? You know, when you have an award-winning school system, you can look to them to give you these type of answers. I mean, that's part of being a good commissioner, I think, is relying on the strength of your county, of those others in the county that might be smarter on this issue, to be able to say, hey, here's why maybe the small size is 12, but the biggest size should be over 18 or 20. But I think that I rely on them to coach me down that path, because I really don't have the best answer.
I agree with Bob. We have some classes have one student due to special needs. I think the average class size is 20 to 22, something like that. But at the same time, I would leave that decision to Dr. Andes and Board of Education. They're the experts in it. Take their advice and then make a decision.
I would concur with that answer. We have the best schools. I have had no complaints from any parent, any teacher about the class sizes being too large. I think they're at the appropriate size, and the children are obviously getting a good education, otherwise we wouldn't have so many Blue schools. And we have the best teachers. They are dedicated, and we have great parental support, and we have great students that are getting what they're being taught. So I think that what we're doing is working. Thank you.
I think in Worcester County, we're getting it right. I've been in schools frequently, and I can tell you that the students in the younger grades, kindergarten, preschool, first grade, second grade, need more attention. So I know in the southern area of the county, some classes are 11 and 12 students, and that's with a teacher and with a teaching aide. A lot of the classes are incrementally a little bit larger. I don't think we have any classes larger than 25 or 26 students. And even in the high school, there are a couple, when you have students moving all around, that some of the courses will have a little bit more. But really, we have very small classes, which is why we have such a good school system.
I usually wouldn't rebut my last response, but I want to include my wife's a school teacher, so of course I'd go home and ask her before I made a judgment.
Next question will be from Mr. Fisher to Mr. Buck.
Okay. We'll stay on the topic of schools for a question. Since Worcester began having elected school board positions, only a few of them have been contested by more than one candidate. This year, for example, there are 4 open school board seats, and 3 of them, the incumbents, are unchallenged by anyone else running for the office. And these are powerful offices. They control tens of millions of dollars of taxpayer money. Should the system revert to the way it was when these were appointed seats, if there seems to be no interest in electing them? And are you surprised by the lack of interest in these elected seats?
Well, first of all, the people that run unopposed are apparently, according to the constituents and everybody, are doing a good job. As far as the lack of people wanting to run for that position, I don't have any idea why that would be. I think our Board of Education is doing a good job. The budget's $80 million. To manage a budget like that, you got to know what you're doing, and I think they are the ones to make the decision. I think there's a possibility that there may be cuts across the board next year if we can't turn our economy around. But I think the decision will be made by that board, and I think they're doing a good job.
As evidenced by the fact that we are all Republicans here, there are no Democrats running against any of us. So it isn't too hard to see that the public would prefer that someone else do the job. And I think that we do have a wonderful school board. And I work very well with them and appreciate the job that they do. I don't necessarily think that there's too big a difference between the elected and appointed school board, and perhaps it's something that should be considered. But it does give the people the opportunity to weigh in if they choose to do so.
I think if the people of Worcester County were unhappy with the school system and how the school system was being handled and how the children are learning, you better believe that there would be people running for the school board. I think everyone is happy with the system. We have the best school system in the state and arguably one of the best systems in the whole country. So I think that's why you don't get a lot of interest in people running for school board. They're happy with it.
I absolutely believe it should be an elected position. I don't think it should be appointed. And I absolutely support the folks that are there now. If you think about it, being named the top school system in Maryland, and Maryland being one of the top school systems in the country, this is a whole lot for those professionals, not only at Dr. Andy's level, but all the way down, the board, the teachers, all the professionals that work in our school system. So why replace something that works so well?
Just to follow up, I did not answer the question about elected or appointed. I would not go back to appointed board, but I'm pretty proud of our school system. 95% of our kids graduate from high school, 82% of the kids that graduate go on to further education. I think our Board of Education is doing a good job.
All right, well, thank you very much for the questions from the press. Now we're going to the next phase where by the draw, we're going to have the candidates from District 6 go first. Where Mrs. Busick will ask Mr. Bunting a question. And then he has 2 minutes to respond, and then Mrs. Busick can respond for a minute, and then we'll switch off. So, you ready?
I guess as ready as I'm going to be. As I've stated before, I love this job. I want to continue to be your county commissioner. I work very hard at it. And I have no ties, allegiance, or background in the development community. And I know my duty is to ask him a question.
Right, you got to ask him.
But I don't have any questions for him. All I can tell you is I love what I do and I want to continue what I'm doing. So Mr. Bunting, if you want to ask me a question, please go ahead.
Well, thank you. You're welcome. Mr. Busick, I would like to know your opinion on one thing. Sir. Worcester County is in the process of Ocean Pines sewage treatment plant is in the process of renewing its discharge permit. Ocean Pines sewage treatment plant is an advanced wastewater treatment plant, and the discharge from it is well below the mandated guidelines. And that's evidenced by not being required to pay into the Bay Restoration Fund. In fact, it's rated as one of the best treatment plants in the state of Maryland. One of our local organizations, the Aztec Coastal Trust, has requested a public hearing on this permit scheduled for September the 30th. Knowing that a public hearing will require county staff time and taxpayer dollars, and the permit will definitely be renewed, do you support the Aztec Coastal Trust effort for the request of this hearing?
Well, you have pointed out that it's actually a 4% rating, which is very, very good. And this renewal process will undoubtedly, I'm sure their permit will be renewed by MDE. As we take on more affluent from the Shal School, from Most Blessed Sacrament, from St. John Newman's Church and others that will want to tie into Ocean Pines, we're going to have to be mindful of the quantity of affluent that we're taking in and the measurement of the total daily maximum load. And at some point in time, not any time real soon, but we're going to have to look for ways to either have land for spray irrigation or deal with this additional, the nutrients and the phosphorus and all of the pollutants that are going to come from people who are tying in to the septic system. Or not septic system, but sewage treatment plant. Thank you.
You've got 1 minute.
My question was, do you support the Assateague Coastal Trust requesting this hearing at a cost to the Worcester County taxpayers?
You know, I really was not aware that this request had been made, and I'm sure that they have our environment at heart. I presume that this is something they're entitled to do, and I guess I would support it, yeah.
Thank you. We're going to move now to District 5. Before we do, probably most of the people here are pretty politically astute or you wouldn't be here. But I know there are a lot of people in the county who don't really understand the difference between District 5 and this District 6. My wife said, now Bill, when we vote, who are we going to vote for? Are we going to vote for Mrs. Boggs or Mr. Thompson? And I said, neither one. We're going to vote for Mrs. Busey or Mr. Bundy. Mr. Bundy. The dividing line between District 5 and District 6 is between Wood Duck 2 and Turns Landing, and it goes east-west. Isn't that right? District 5?
No, District 5 starts at the north gate on the right side of the road.
You're right.
It goes down to Wood Duck.
It goes down to Wood Duck. Right, thank you. All right, so
On the left side of the road.
so it's on the Ocean Pine, on the water side of Ocean Parkway. So you know, I wasn't even sure, but I knew I could vote for it. That's District 6.
From Wood Duck on.
Over Wood Duck on down, right?
I left
Okay.
you my information, you should know.
I should know. Anyway, it's a complicated thing. I went on the county maps yesterday trying to find it, and I could not find the exact delineation, which is interesting. But you can go on the website and you can type in your address, and they'll tell you what district you're in. You can vote for. And of course, when you show up to vote, you're limited also. All right, we'll move to District 5 now. And Mrs. Boggs, you get to go first.
I've promised, and I have been a full-time commissioner for 8 years, because that's what I believe it takes to do a good job for the people of Ocean Pines. The most important job the commissioners do all year is to determine the county operating budget and the capital budget and the enterprise fund budgets. Because this is such a time-consuming process that begins early in May with meetings with staff, with day-long work sessions, with a public hearing, and with a meeting with the towns, including Ocean Pines. Mr. Thompson, how would you handle this chief responsibility in which you'll have to recuse yourself from voting on funding issues for Ocean Pines, and while holding a full-time position as Ocean Pines General Manager at a busy time when Ocean Pines is getting ready for the summer season?
Well, thank you for the question, because I knew it would come up. So I'm glad you asked, so I didn't have to try to bring it out myself. I know there's some mixed feelings about it. Let's talk about it a little bit. I realize the capacity and the complexity of the budget process. Let me start by saying, my 23 years financial experience means I'm going to be pretty good with the budget process. Okay, reviewing budgets, approving budgets, those types of things, that's a lot of what my background is working in the bank. Talk about the time frame, how much time is committed to that, okay, which I know is very important. One of the things, as you folks know, I did assume the role as general manager of Ocean Pines a few weeks ago, and I've had a lot of people say conflict of interest in time. Okay, well, the budget process in reality takes about a week, okay? A long week, mind you, but a week of time. It's broken.
The county budget process?
For the time the commissioners, if you allow me to finish, you'll have time to rebut me, ma'am. Okay, it takes about a week, and it's broken down into different segments. It's not a straight week, okay? Part of my responsibility to the residents here, the residents of Ocean Pines, was not to use, not to take general manager's time away from it. And part of my negotiation, quite frankly, was accepting more time off via vacation time. Anybody that knows me or can ask my wife, I've never taken long vacations. A week maybe here or there, and part of my negotiated contract allows me several weeks, okay, focused for those intent budget times. In addition to that, part of what Commissioner Boggs was referring to, there are more hours spent, but you can talk to Mr. Church, because that's who I went to, the top person. A lot of that's evenings, the 6 to 9, 6 to 10 evening time frames. Okay, well, that doesn't interfere with our schedule. Thank you for the question.
Yes, it was the elephant in the room. But in any case, I can tell you from 8 years' experience, I do have experience with budgets, and also exact experience that's required by the county. But I can tell you that there is far more than just 1 week involved. We meet with directors of the departments, we meet with the mayors of the schools, the mayors of the towns, and frankly, Mr. Thompson, I don't think I ever recall you sitting through a county budget meeting or a county commissioner meeting. If you've never been to a county commissioner meeting or a county budget meeting, you really can't say what it's about just by talking to somebody.
Again, thanks for the opening. I was there when Mr. Olson came and requested budget last year. In fact, she didn't see me, isn't my fault. Okay, I was there. Okay, and I'm sorry.
All right, now, Mr. Thompson, you have the opportunity to ask Mr. Boggs a question.
Okay, mine's not going to be quite as dart at you. My question is more supportive for Ocean Pines. The challenge that we've had in Ocean Pines over years, okay, and you're aware of it, is the flooding in Section 3, okay? It affects more residents in a geographic location from the density of the location than any other area in the county, okay? Surveyors and Mr. Bunny can probably attest to this, have shown that a lot of that problem was created when the River Run culvert pipe, because I've walked it, I've been around it, I've had folks in Public Works take me down. As a county commissioner and a resident of Ocean Pines, I would think that would be a high priority for the commissioners, and certainly from you, Ms. Busick, to attack that issue and resolve it for us, because no matter how much drainage we try to develop to push out of Ocean Pines, if it stagnates on Beecham Road, which is a county road, we can't move the water away. What types of steps can you do for us, assuming, let's say you were reelected and I wasn't? What could you do this year that we haven't done in the past? Because it is a priority for us.
We're well aware of the stormwater problems in Ocean Pines. As I said earlier, Ocean Pines would not even be here under today's coastal base legislation. And frankly, when I go to plant a tree in my backyard, I put the shovel in and the water comes up. Right now, I'm working with Mick Hall for a stormwater problem that he has, or that is occurring within the park. I'm aware of the one there in Section 3, which is not my district, but I can tell you too, we have a couple of Ocean Pines environmental people who are down here all the time. It's Chris McCabe, one of our supervisors, and Ryan Presock, always down here working with Carrie Nelson and looking at these issues. Yes, you know, these issues will be handled. They're not easy issues to solve because we are so low in the water level. But we are working on them, and we are working with Ocean Pines.
And not to be direct, but that's, anybody knows ma'am, you didn't answer it. It's been an issue at the county level for years now, and you keep saying you're a county commissioner for 8 years. It affects over 400 of our residents. As the representative from Ocean Pines, I would think that would be a huge priority, and we can't push it off and worry about, you know, other parts. This we need to focus on. We need to focus on it now.
All issues concerned with Ocean Pines, we focus on. I'm saying, I think that's in litigation right now too, isn't it? That particular issue, one man has it in litigation. But, you know, it's a serious problem. But as I say, it's not a problem that can solve in a week or a day or a month. And especially when there's no money.
All right, thank you both. I think we've got this situation there. All right, now that concludes the questions from each candidate from each district, and now we're going to have the final phase, which would be the closing statements, and it'll be for 3 minutes. We'll start with you, Mr. Bunny.
I'm going to stand up now. Being the first person to speak tonight, I'm going to tell you it got hot in here real quick. As you can tell, perspiring pretty well. My closing statement is going to be very short. First of all, I want to thank everybody for coming here tonight, and thank Mr. Rayco for moderating this meeting, and the Ocean Pines Independent and the Ocean City Today for their good questions. They just had a few of them I didn't know quite how to answer. But Worcester County is my home. I've lived here all my life. I'm 59 years old. My children grew up here, were educated in the Worcester County educational system. I'm very proud of both of them. They both went on to college. My daughter teaches at college. My son-in-law was educated in the Worcester County educational system. He teaches at college. I've been an employee, an employer, and a public servant when you consider the Board of Zoning Appeals and the Planning Commission time I've spent, which is going on over 10 years. I would like to continue my public service by becoming your county commissioner, and I want to thank you all for coming out tonight.
My closing statement is going to be relatively brief for me as well. And I also thank all of you for coming out and sharing this evening. And thank you, Board, for your questions. When I became your county commissioner, I pledged to be an accountable leader and to work tirelessly for the Northern District, as well as the residents of Worcester County. I've been accessible and forthright. And as each day passes, I become more insightful and enthusiastic about serving our citizens. Over the past 2 years, there have been many challenges as we face a falling housing market and weakened economy. However, the hurdles we encounter can be overcome, and we must all work to accomplish these daunting tasks. This election is about the future and what Worcester County should become as we move forward. I have enjoyed being your representative for the past 4 years and have listened to your concerns and taken action. I will continue to listen to your voice on the commission. I want your input, combining your thoughts and concerns with the findings of our county staff and persons with expertise in a particular field of interest helps me be the very best county commissioner I can be. I feel I offer the proper balance. My allegiance is only to you, the citizens of the Northern District, District 6, and the citizens of Worcester County. Thank you so very much.
Well, I would like to thank Mr. Joe Reynolds for initiating this. I am all about communication, and I call myself a communicator. Far, far from an orator, but I am a communicator. And that's one of the things I want to talk to you about. 8 years ago, when I was running for the election the first time, I made 3 promises. I said, I will be your full-time commissioner. And I have been a full-time commissioner. You are my job, and you are my only job. I said I will hold periodic town meetings. I have held 24 town meetings, and they get more and more successful all the time. There are 100 chairs in this library, and the 100 chairs are generally filled up with people sitting on tables around the room. And as a matter of fact, at my February town meeting, the librarian had to say, please, you have to turn people away because nobody can access the library. And that's a good thing. I like to keep people advised of the issues and how the issues impact on Ocean Pines. And the third promise I made that I have kept is I will represent the residents of Ocean Pines and Worcester County to the best of my ability. And I can assure you, I think of that every day, and I have done that. The other thing I put on my brochure, I thought it was important for you to know about me because you've had me for 8 years. Most of you have been to my town meetings, but I printed my philosophy here. Here it is. Number 1, I believe in common sense in public policy. Number 2, I believe those elected to public office must welcome and encourage two-way communication with their constituents. And you know I believe in that. And number 3, I'm strongly committed to fiscal responsibility, and I believe that government must remain fiscally conservative to effectively respond to current economic realities, whatever they may be. Right now, they're not so good, but we have to tighten our belts and respond to it. Over the years, I have thoroughly enjoyed this job. It's the culmination of all of my public service throughout my adult life, and I think that public service and the boards and the commissions and everything that I have been on have prepared me well. And I assure you that I will continue to keep these promises when you elect me for the next 4 years. Thank you.
Well, first, I'd like to thank everyone for being here tonight, and certainly all of you. This is democracy. This is what it's all about for us. We're going to talk about, full-time, I've had a lot of questions tonight over the last couple of weeks about full-time commitment. I want to make sure everyone understands, I know how many county commissioners we have. There are 7. I also know 5 of those 7 have full-time jobs. County commissioner was never set up to be a full-time job. Now, we can make anything full-time if we choose to, but the fact of the matter is, if handled properly and focused on intently, it's not full-time, okay? The other thing that I want you to understand is I am not only a proponent of our school system, okay, I say it over and over because it's very important to me, I'm a product of our school system. I'm proud of that, okay? I think we lose sight when we start talking budget issues. We talk about, not doing... Stay there, I'll do it. I gotta walk. I'm better if I walk standing still. So, if you look at our budget issues, I know, funding for schools is always one of the highest concerns for folks. It's investing in our future, folks. If we can't and won't invest in our future, why invest at all? Okay, so focusing on our schools is very, very important to me. Also, right-sizing government. We talked about the economy being tough right now. It is. We've all felt it, okay? I think now's the time more than ever that we need to look at our government as a whole. We hear DC's too big and we keep re-electing and what are we going to do to change? It starts locally, okay? So from a local person to local people, help me get into office and make that change, okay? And the last thing, and I think the most important, okay, and if nothing else when you walk out here tonight, I want you to walk away with this. Accountability is critical. We've lost it all the way up at our senior levels of government. When I talk about accountability, okay, when you were like me, okay, as your county commissioner, and I come back to the office here in Ocean Pines, I'm hearing from a lot of folks now, I'm accountable each and every day, not once every 4 years, each day for my decisions at the county level. Isn't it time we hold our county officials, our government officials at all levels, accountable for their decisions each and every day? So I'm asking you to think about that when you leave. And I welcome your support. Thanks.
This concludes the forum. I want to thank the 4 candidates for being here. Let's hear it for them. And thank you very much for being here yourselves. Good night.
Nice job, Ben. Good question.
Thank you very much.